we tend to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We know we have to be better to get the success that we're looking for, to get noticed. And this can result in some habits that aren't so helpful for us in the long run. They can get you to the director level because they help you be a better performer, but they don't help you get up through the leadership levels. I'm Jill Avey, a career success coach, and this is SisterSmart Leadership, the show that explores how women can rise from director to vice president and beyond by fully leaning into their feminine energy as their biggest advantage. Let's get you one step closer to the recognition and promotion you deserve. When I was VP, I ran the most visible customer-facing departments in the company, marketing and customer service. And I felt like I had eyes on me at all times. And I really did. People didn't hold back on letting me know when they thought that I'd made the wrong call or that I was missing something that they felt was important. I felt a tremendous pressure not to make mistakes. The reality is that the higher you go, the higher this pressure becomes. Many people in this situation do the same as I did. I just worked harder and harder, yet it never felt like enough. It felt like I couldn't do enough to prevent every problem. And I couldn't. No one can. It wasn't until I got help that I understood that one person can only do so much, and there's a time when we have to let go. But how to find that line? Where can you confidently feel like you've done enough? Well, this is probably a problem for every executive. For women, the pressure can be even greater due to gender bias and socialization. This is an important topic because women at the executive levels often burn out due to overwork and not enough harmony in their lives. They take on more and more in an effort to do better, not realizing that more is not the answer. Instead, if we can understand the following 5 influences, we can work to mitigate these effects in our lives and find the balance of working enough, but not too much. So the first influence is that at times we can feel like we're under a microscope. The reality is that women get more criticism from the time we're little girls. As we grow up as schoolgirls, we are corrected and set out to be good girls. And that can be a big influence for us all the way to adulthood and through our entire careers. As well, women often get more feedback. And this isn't an attempt to help, I think. I really think it is. But they get a lot more corrections. And then they'll get a lot of vague advice because people don't really know how to help them. But they're trying to show them the way that they did it, which leads us to our second influence that we just really don't fit the mold. So if we've got male counterparts or male mentors that are trying to help us, they're trying to show us how to do it the way they did. And that's not always going to work for us. And the reality is that we do have to prove ourselves. We are promoted based on performance, and whereas men are promoted based on their potential. So what happens is that when we are leading with our feminine strengths, which is what we're often rooted in, then we have a different style, and that people don't always understand that, and they try to correct us because they're trying to help and make us fit the mold that they're trying to, that they came up in or that they're seeing is what is the popular thing in this culture. So that can be really hard because, we feel like we're not fitting in, and then that makes you want to overperform. It's also hard to be heard. So it's a very common thing that women are talked over in meetings. Sometimes they're not even given a seat at the table. I've had more than one client who has found out that critical meetings are happening without them being invited. In fact, I had one client that walked past the meeting and saw it happening without her. And then other times we've had somebody ask, like, why weren't you invited to this? That happened to me in my career as well. And we're often not given second chances. So this is a problem because, if we have a failure, then they can just write us off and say, "Oh, well, I guess she's not meant for leadership anyhow." And so this can be something that people fear, and they know that I've got to do it right the first time every time. And so then the next thing is that we might not have as much support from our network as men do. We just don't have as much social capital, and we may have a sponsor or two, but they've got a wide network of supporters. And so that can be definitely a factor here, that when you don't have like such a wide network that's supporting you, you feel like it's all up to you to perform. And our final thing is that we tend to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We know we have to be better to get the success that we're looking for, to get noticed. And this can result in some habits that aren't so helpful for us in the long run. They can get you to the director level because they help you be a better performer, but they don't help you get up through the leadership levels. And so the first one is control. So often I see people over controlling and trying to make sure that every single thing is right. And we can go overboard with that. So it's good to have control, but we can go overboard with it. As well, perfectionism. Perfectionism is hard because we're trying to control as well, but it's the it's the thing that makes us want to get everything right to the nth degree. And so when we're caught in perfectionism, the hard part about that is that it's really hard to gain followership because people don't want to follow someone who is nitpicking them or, looking over their shoulder or afraid to delegate to them because it degrades our trust with our team. And it also is hard for people to feel confident under a perfectionist. So that's one we really want to avoid. And then there's also that inner critic voice that can get really loud. And this can help us to want to overperform when we're feeling that inner critic voice. So all three of these, the controller, the perfectionist, and the inner critic voices, those are all forces that have us working harder and harder and harder to make sure that we don't make any mistakes and that everything is right. And so what we don't want to do is carry this with us into leadership. We need to be able to figure out what it is that we can do to loosen the reins a little bit. So in the SisterSmart program, we work a lot with these saboteurs that I was just talking about. And so we can shift them so that instead of having them hold you back, they can help you grow. And if you go back to episode 15, in my client interview with Jenny, she talked a lot about how this work made her more effective. It was really one of her favorite parts. So then there's also something that we want to be aware of when we're thinking about whether we're going to make a mistake or not. We want to make sure that we're not on a glass cliff. So this is a situation where women get offered different experiences or different opportunities that it's like when the company is in really bad shape, then this woman CEO is picked because they don't have anything to lose. And what it does is it sets us up in a much more difficult situation to succeed. So we want to be careful and know that when we're taking a glass cliff opportunity, so this is an opportunity that's going to be a lot more difficult to succeed, but it could be a chance that you might not otherwise get. And so I have one client who took one of these challenging roles and she's made amazing results out of it. She knew she was having one of these glass cliff opportunities and she knew that she had the skills to do it and she had the confidence in herself and she knew that she could really turn around this team and she really has. And they're already setting goals just after her being in the role for less than 6 months. So this is something that can be career limiting if it doesn't go well, but it can also give you that break that you were looking for. I had one of these opportunities early in my career and I'm really glad that I took it, but we just want to go in with really open eyes. So often women aren't as willing to take risk for several reasons, but failure is harder for women. And, we just don't have as much social capital. And when I did the research, when I was developing my program, the women that I talked to often said that they take failure harder than they see other people taking it around them. We feel things deeply a lot of times, and it can just be harder for us to recover and to bounce back from failure. So we have this whole module in our program that's devoted to becoming friends with failure. So it's such an important part of becoming a successful leader is that you really do have to be able to make mistakes and be able to explain those mistakes and bounce back from them. And so next time you catch yourself worrying about making a mistake or the worst case scenario or messing it all up beyond repair, ask yourself if any of these factors could be at play. See where you can go a little bit easier on yourself, rally your support system, and push beyond the limits to see how perfect you really need to be. So I want you to join us in episode 28, which is a few episodes down the road. So stay tuned with me because we're going to talk about how to assess risk so that you can more easily know when to put yourself out there, pushing the envelope a little bit and stepping into your bigger self. So at the end of every episode, I like to suggest 3 shifts that you can make. So the first shift that I'd like to suggest for you when it comes to making mistakes is to loosen your grip a little. Look for the places where you are exerting too much control, too much perfectionism, where your inner critic voices are taking over and telling you that you're not enough, and loosen your grip a little in those areas. Embrace being good enough is my second shift for you. This is a really important topic, especially for our perfectionists out there, that good enough might be 100% or 120%. That might be what good enough has to be in this situation. I'm launching a new product. Like, I'm going to give that my all. But sometimes good enough is 40%. Sometimes it's 60%, and sometimes it's 80. So figuring out what good enough is in each situation, you can dial back some of that overworking that tends to burn us out. And our third shift is to see how much less you can do in increments. So I don't want you to just drop off the cliff and, stop doing everything. Of course, you're not going to do that. And so when we're thinking about good enough, I want you to just go in small increments and start pulling back a little at a time, saying no to this little thing and no to that little thing, and see how it goes and find out where the boundaries are for you. It might be surprising for you that the boundaries of what you can and can't get away with, or, what is actually fine, are really different from what you thought. Okay, so where can you loosen your grip and embrace good enough? Share one idea in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube to inspire others to let go too. And if you'd like to hear more about the Sisters in Leadership process that I mentioned today and how that might work for you, I would love for you to download my private podcast on the 7-step passport to promotion. You can find that on the SisterSmart.com website, and the link will be in the show notes for you. And if you want to dive deeper into women's leadership, how to move up in your career, subscribe either on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. I'm on a mission to help more women get into leadership and stay there. And if that's aligned with you, I'd love to have you be part of this community and tune into more episodes of Sister Smart Leadership. If you're ready to fully lean into your feminine leadership and get promoted from director to vice president and beyond, hit that subscribe button so you'll get all the episodes to come. And check out the recommended video here to see how women are rising up without playing by the old rules that built these male-dominated industries and systems.